Hello everyone, today we are going to dive into how you can achieve an A star in IGCSE English Language B. In this video, we will focus on text analysis and comparison from section A, as well as tips to enhance your writing in sections B and C. Plus, don't forget to check out the resources we have linked in the description. They will help reinforce what we cover here. Let us start with section A, which has 7 questions. We will focus mainly on questions 3 or 6 and question 7, where students tend to struggle the most. Question 3 or 6 are text analysis, and question 7 is the comparison of the two given texts. Question 3 or 6 is all about analyzing the provided text. However, many students find it tough to identify relevant points. Some follow techniques like dark forest, but to truly excel, you need to focus on two main areas. Number 1, the linguistic features of the text, and number 2, the structure of the text. First, let's talk about the linguistic aspects. This includes devices like metaphors, iteration, hyperbole, choice of words, tone, and humor. It is important to note how these devices create special effects or convey certain messages. Remember, context is everything. The effect of a device depends entirely on how and where it is used, so you need to think creatively. Here we have listed only 3 literary devices. However, in our description below, we have linked a file which contains many more useful ones. Next is structure. Here you are looking at how the text is organized. This could include subheadings, bullet points, sentence type, or narrative perspective like first-person narrative or third-person narrative. The table shows various effects of structural devices which will also be included in the file. Now let us move on to analysis. When analyzing, don't just list the devices. Explain their impact. For example, if the writer uses a metaphor, ask yourself why. How does it deepen the reader's understanding or emotion? Let us say the writer describes a storm as a raging like an untamed beast. Don't stop at identifying that simile. Explain that comparing the storm to a wild animal makes it feel more menacing, unpredictable, which heightens the sense of danger. Here is an example analysis. For example, the writer has written, with a grin on their faces, the senior students were taking their class sincerely, while some hyperactive junior students burst into the classroom, searching for an empty room to create chaos. As you can see, the writer contrasts two groups of students, the sincere seniors and the mischievous juniors. The use of the word sincerely shows his appreciation for the seniors, and this contrast helps highlight that appreciation even more. We have showed this analysis in 2 different ways. However, you must remember that your analysis should be relevant and convincing, and you should always back it up with proper evidence. There is no right way to write a text analysis. Develop your own style, be unique, and stay clear of being generic. Moving on to question 7, which involves text comparison. Here you must address the similarities between the text and the difference between the text. Now, 2 texts may use the same technique, but they may have a different effect. In this situation, you must explain the differences in the effect they have and comment on it. Do not compare literary devices directly. For example, text 1 uses a simile whereas text 2 uses a metaphor. Instead, you can write in this manner. Text 1 conveys something using a simile, which allows readers to have a deeper understanding, whereas text 2 highlights another thing using a metaphor, which enhances the message and increases clarity. When comparing, focus on theme, structure, and style. Structure includes the same points as the structure we discussed beforehand for text analysis. You may also highlight that one text is adapted from an article or a blog, while the other text is adapted from a novel or a report, depending on the text you're given with. Now, style includes the following things. Number 1, language, then tone, use of imperatives, humor, contrast, literary devices, and the starting and the ending. About language, the most important thing you need to consider is the text positive or negative, or does it contain both? Is it optimistic or is it pessimistic? Is it persuasive or any other language type? We have included more detailed explanation and examples in the description, so be sure to check them out. Now about the comparison format, there isn't a fixed one. You're free to develop your own style, but if you want a structure to follow, here is a simple format that works in all cases and will guarantee you high marks. First of all, you need to introduce your text with a proper introduction. In the introduction, briefly compare the thematic similarities and differences between the 2 texts. In sentence 1, talk about the main theme of the text. In sentence 2, talk about the main difference between the texts. Sentences 1 and 2 can be written together as a single sentence using connecting words. Here is an example of a good introduction. Text 1 and Text 2 are both about climate change. However, Text 1 suggests possible actions for the environment in order to prevent climate change, while Text 2 emphasizes the lack of actions being taken in order to prevent climate change. You can phrase this however you like. Don't feel the need to stick to rigid structures. After introduction, in your first paragraph, you may compare how both the texts begin. In the second paragraph, compare their tones. In third paragraph, compare the language. Fourth paragraph, compare whether they're persuasive, advisory, etc. Fifth paragraph, compare their adaptations. Next paragraph, compare their target audience. Seventh, you may compare their main aim. Eighth paragraph, you may compare how their approaches differ or how they end their text. In paragraph 9, you may compare the structure, and in paragraph 10, you may conclude with, thus, both writers have successfully conveyed their ideas, perspective, and thoughts. Paragraph 10 might be your conclusion, but remember, you can use more or fewer paragraphs depending on your argument. The key is to link them together properly, with each paragraph focus on a specific idea. For example, do not mix the discussions of target audience with structure in the same paragraph unless they are closely related. If the tone is linked to the target audience, you can connect them in one paragraph. Now on to section B, transactional writing. We have article, blog, or website contribution, informal letter, speech, or talk. For transactional writing, while format is important, content is key. We won't dive into the format here, but we will focus on what makes your writing stand out. The techniques you should use are tautology, idioms, common sayings or slangs mainly for informal writings, literary devices like simile and metaphor, examples from real life, or relevant examples. One concept to keep in mind is tautology. You probably use it without even realizing. Tautology is a figure of speech which uses two or more words or phrases having the same or almost same meaning. For example, null and void, first and foremost, trade and commerce, leaps and bounds, shim and plan, etc. An example sentence, the final outcome was clear. Here, outcome means the final result. However, it is preceded by the word final, which in this case is redundant. Using such a style in a formal manner is unprofessional. However, in an informal setting like section B, it enhances your writing and makes it feel more vibrant. Feel free to research more on this topic. Moreover, phrases like null and void adds emphasis, but be careful not to use too much tautology as it can feel verbose. Students often make these mistakes, copying word for word from given text, addressing excess ideas that are not from the text, using childish tone or vocabulary, improper paragraphing, excess use of a single literary device or devices. Instead, you should do this. Paraphrase words from the text if you really need to copy. These are known as cataphoric references. Use ideas from the text only and occasionally add your own ideas. Try to stay away from it, but you may add in if it is necessary. Use informal but major vocabulary and have medium or long size paragraphs, but you should use appropriate number of paragraphs. Use an optimum number of literary devices and use each a maximum of 2 times. For example, if you use tautological terms, use it for a maximum 2 times but not more. Aim for at least 5 paragraphs for section B and use literary devices sparingly to avoid making your writing feel unnecessarily complicated. Finally, for section C, we will focus on story writing. While writing a story, if it involves your own experience or a fictional setting, try using at least 5 characters. You should explain 2 characters and describe the rest of the characters. You should create 5 characters from way before the exam, give them a name, a creative backstory, and a personality. Describe or explain how they will respond to a certain situation, if it is positive or negative, important or desperate, etc. During the exam, be an editor, not a writer. Do not try to create new stories which you are not familiar with in the examination, as you may face trouble like time management or having to redo everything again. Now, why is creating a character profile important? If you know how your characters react, you can easily adapt them to fit any prompt. For example, if you have a short-tempered character and the title of the story is The Future, you can show how he angrily reacts to futuristic concepts. Character creation is the foundation of good storytelling. We have added a character chart template in our description to help you build strong characters. Before we wrap up, here are some quick tips and tricks. Read online articles which help you stay up to date with relevant trends. Read more books which will help to expand your vocabulary as well as writing skills. Use ChatGPT for assistance with writing or learning new words. It's a very good tool and I suggest everyone should use it for all subjects including English Language B. You should also watch YouTube videos to learn about different types of literary devices in depth so you can use them properly and understand them properly. Follow our guide posted in the description below. Moreover, sample answers from May 2024 candidates who achieved grade 9 have been provided in the file. Learn from them how they crafted their responses and take inspiration for your own work. That's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos about IGCSE Guide. Thank you.